anytime that you have an emotion, it is because you made meaning. And so what I want to show you today is I want to show you and actually help you experience that meanings are arbitrary. I can't go through and eliminate everyone's beliefs on this call, but what I can do is give you a technique that you can use and repeat in your life every single day in order to stop making meaning where it gets in your way. When you can stop making meaning, you can be proactive in your approach rather than reactive. Yeah, always. Well, hello, everyone. It's, I don't know if you guys saw Damien's email. He's actually not going to be here today, but that's okay because I think Derek and I have got it handled. It's great to see all of you. Here's what I have for you today. If you saw the emails that Damien put out, I'm going to talk about success. And what's really interesting is that if you really think about it, anything that you might need to know in order to reach your goals is out there. I mean, anything that you want is out there on YouTube, for example. You need to know how to do something. You need to know how to build a deck. It's on YouTube. You need to know how to do some kind of marketing. Someone's got some free content on YouTube that you can pull up and go through. And, you can literally learn how to run a business using Google and YouTube if you wanted to. It might take you a while, right? But anything that you wanted to learn fast, you have courses and things that you can buy. You have shortcuts and things. And so all of this information is out there. It's there for you. It's ready. And so why doesn't everyone succeed? Like, what's missing, right? Let me ask you this question. What do you think are the elements that are essential for success? Like if you want to reach a goal, any goal at all, whether it's a business goal, a health goal, a relationship goal, what are the most essential elements? So plug some stuff in the chat, whatever you think. It's okay if you get it wrong. There's actually no wrong answers, but let me know what you think. Like what are the first things that come up when you think, in order to be successful, in order to reach my goals, beliefs, John? Absolutely. Yeah. What else? Consistent effort. Yeah, consistency. What else? Unwavering desire to actually achieve it. Yeah, for sure, Stephen, right? Like if you don't want to reach your goal, you're probably not going to put in the effort to reach it. Plan of action, for sure. Yeah, and keep plugging things in there. And all those things are essential, right? Like in order to reach your goal, yeah, you got to want it. You got to have the information for it, right? That's why we've got like Google and YouTube and courses and other things. Yeah, sure. Mentors and coaches can help as well. One of the reasons anyway, is they can see things that you can't, right? They're not looking through your same belief system in a way. They're not stuck in the same places that you are, and they can see things that you can't. So yeah, all of these things can work together. But what I want to show you today is that actually the biggest thing that you can do to reach your goals is, yes, focus and follow up, but to get out of your own way. See, what I want to show you today is I actually want to take you through an experience where I think that most of you will be able to do this. And if not, you'll be able to repeat on your own and get this. What I want to give you this experience of is that when you remove obstacles, you get unlimited possibilities. In other words, as a human being on this planet, you have unlimited possibilities. And the only things that keep you from reaching those goals and reaching that success that you want is holding yourself back. And so what I'm going to suggest to answer this question that you've all answered is getting out of your own way is the way to reach your goals. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. We're going to talk about drive as well, and about how drive can get in your way when you're very driven. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes not so much, and I'll show you why. And the first thing I want to share is I'm very much a paper person. I've since switched to, I don't know if you guys know Remarkable. It's like an e-ink tablet that I really like. But before I had it, I had a bunch of notebooks. And these are like the little small writing notebooks that you get like at Costco, huge packets. And I used to get them all the time and go through them and go through them and go through them. And at the start of each notebook, there were 3 things that I always copied over to the first page. And I'm going to share those things with you right now. The first one is simple, and you can use this. I love this for any decisions, anything in your business, anything in your life. It's 10-10-10. Anyone ever hear of this, the 10-10-10 decision process? Let me know in the chat if you have, but I'm going to share it with you right now. Very simple. It's how will I feel about my decision in 10 minutes, in 10 months, and in 10 years. And if you ever come to a place where you need to make a decision, whether it's a purchasing decision, whether it's an action decision, like whether you should do something or not, whether you should say yes or no to something, etc., try it. How will I feel about my decision in 10 minutes, in 10 months, and in 10 years? And just ask yourself those questions, and you'll often see that some of those decisions that feel really stressful in the moment, when you think about it in 10 months, I won't really care about it, right? And same thing in 10 minutes can be really telling. So anyway, that's the first thing I have on the first page of each notebook, back when I kept using these notebooks. The second thing I have is part of a quote that I love. I bet you've heard this. This is by Marianne Williamson. And it's this quote. It's, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? That's just part of the quote by Marianne Williamson, but I love it. It's my favorite quote. I've got it at the top of each notebook. And the next thing I have is called Who Am I Really? And it's a process that I'm going to take you through today. However, before we can get to that process, I need to tell you a story. And this is a story that starts during your birth. How many of you remember when you were born? That's kind of a joke. I don't know that anyone does remember their birth, but I bet you've had some experience of birth, whether that was your kid being born and you either experiencing it as a woman or experiencing it as a man or as a partner watching that birth happening, or having that experience as an aunt or uncle or as a sister or brother. Has everyone here had some experience of a birth? Let me know if you haven't, actually. Let me know if you haven't, because I'm going to assume that most people have either had their own kids where even if you weren't there, this little newborn was brought home, right? Okay, so I've got one no. Have you ever seen it on TV? Ever seen like a hospital birth on TV? Okay, so there's some experience there. And what I want to suggest to you is that every single person who was ever born, which is like all of us, has had an experience of unconditional love. In other words, when you were born, there was, even if you grew up in the most messed up family, because I know some of us did not have good childhoods, no matter what happened after that point, there was a moment where you were born, and even if it was just for a split second, someone loved you unconditionally. And, even if, let's say you adopted your kids, right? Even if you adopted your kids, there was at least one moment in time where those kids had unconditional love, where someone saw them as a miracle. And that's true for you as well. At some point in your life, probably when you were born, maybe when you were still in utero, maybe when you were a few days old, someone looked at you and thought, what a miracle. And someone felt unconditional love for you. Now, what is unconditional love? Right? What's unconditional love? Well, unconditional love, for example, is when someone wants everything for you, wants you to be able to achieve absolutely anything that you want, right? Anything you want, they want you to have. You're this little baby, they want you to do great things, and they're expecting amazing things. They want you to be happy. And then what happens? Then you start to go through life. And as you're going through life, people say things. Your parents have expectations. You don't meet those expectations. They get angry and they yell. And you start to make conclusions about yourself and about the world. So as an example, if you're a toddler and you're trying to learn how to drink from a cup and you can't control it yet and it spills, your parents might yell and say, you're making a mess. What's wrong with you? Right? And I don't know any toddler who after they're told this, they learn right away. And so most kids have this experience of doing things and getting yelled at, making a mistake, spilling something, and getting what's wrong with you and getting the yelling from their parents. And so just about every kid growing up, I would say 100%, but I'm sure there's probably, at least one anomaly, grows up with these beliefs of, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. If you had a lot of siblings, or if you grew up in a foster home, or if you grew up with not a lot of attention from your parents for any reason, then you probably have a belief like, I'm not important. Okay? So as you go through life, humans, we are meaning-making machines. This is what we do. We make meaning from the things that are going on because this is how we make sense of the world. We do this as soon as we're born, right? We cry, we get fed, and we say, okay, when I cry, I get fed. That's how I get fed. You do something and you get yelled at or you get hit. If your parents, abused you physically, then you learn, if I do this, I get hit. And you learn things like, I'm bad, right? So as we grow, we make these conclusions. Things happen over and over and we go, oh, okay, this is what it must mean. It must mean I'm bad. It must mean I'm not good enough. It must mean I'm not important. But that's not all. See, what happens is no one wants to feel crappy all the time, right? Could you imagine someone walking around always feeling like they're not good enough, like they're not important, like they're not worthwhile, like they're not valuable, like they're bad? Can you imagine someone like that ever having a good life? And so, hey, thanks for putting that quote in there, Jay. As humans, we are meaning-making machines. We really are. And so as you go through life, you come up with solutions because that's what we do. We come up with solutions to feel better. And so if you grow up feeling, I'm not good enough, you're always looking for a way to feel good enough. And what happens is you get, something happens, like you do something perfectly, and instead of getting yelled at, your mom says, great job, and you get celebrated and acknowledged. And after that happens a few times, you go, okay, so what makes me good enough is doing things perfectly. And now you've got this beautiful solution, but what happens when you have a belief like that? What makes me good enough is doing things perfectly, is that in order to feel good enough, you have to keep doing things perfectly all the time. This is what's called a drive to do things perfectly. Is it good to do things perfectly? Sure, it's great. I'm sure your boss loves it, right? I'm sure your clients love it. If you depending on where you're at, I'm sure that a lot of people love it. But what often happens when you need to do things perfectly to be good enough is that instead of doing them, you avoid them. Or it takes you so long to get things done, because can you imagine putting together, let's say, a marketing campaign for a client, and you go, well, I don't know if it's perfect. Are you going to put that out there? Because if you don't put it out there perfectly, you're going to feel not good enough. can you see how having drive can actually get in your way? Yeah, and that's a really good, not a good belief to have, but a really good belief that you put in there, Jay, which is I'm only enough when I'm practically perfect in any way. Yeah, and that's got to be really tough to go through life like that. Yeah, okay. And so what's essentially happening to us, right? Because we're meaning-making machines, is that if you imagine, now I'm a writer, right? I'm a copywriter, and so I like to think about writing. We can look at this in different ways, but if you can imagine, in a way, you're like a writer, and you're writing these characters in, right? You're describing this character as you grow up. So you're this little baby, and you're making meaning. And you're going, okay, this baby is bad, not good enough, not important, not valuable, and you're putting in all these things. You're describing this character, and then it's like you forget that you are the writer, and you jump into the story and live your life as the character with all of these limiting beliefs. And what I'm going to show you how to do today is how to step back into that role of the writer. And we can look at this in different ways. For those of you technical people, it's like programming, right? It's like you're spending your life programming this person, going, okay, I'm not good enough, I'm not important, I'm not valuable. What makes me good enough is doing things perfectly. What makes me good enough is making others happy. And then you live your life as this executable file that you just built, that you just programmed, and you forget that you are the programmer. Does that metaphor make sense? Yeah. And so what I do in my work is I will actually take people through and eliminate those limiting beliefs. Because what happens is, once you have those beliefs, once you're living your life as this character, as this program that you created, that you forgot you created, you make meaning in the world based on those previous things. We're really intelligent creatures, right? And so everything we do, we look at the programming. If you think about it, this is how we learn things like language. We all have rules of language that we follow. Why we say things a certain way, why we have different accents is our language rules. And the same thing is true for our belief system. And so as you're going through the world, you've got all of these different meanings that you're making based on your prior experience, based on your beliefs. And those meanings are causing emotions. So anytime that you have any sort of emotion, whether you feel happy or, joyful, or you feel pain of some sort, or fear or guilt or shame, all of these different emotions, regardless if they're, so-called good emotions or bad emotions, which I'll say now, one disclaimer, there's no such thing as a good or bad emotion. They're all part of the human experience. But I think we'll all agree that it's a lot nicer to feel the happier emotion. So let's just say, pain, fear, shame, guilt, and anger, let's just call them negative emotions just for this experience here. And anytime that you have an emotion, it is because you made meaning. And so what I want to show you today is I want to show you and actually help you experience that meanings are arbitrary. I can't go through and eliminate everyone's beliefs on this call, but what I can do is give you a technique that you can use and repeat in your life every single day in order to stop making meaning where it gets in your way. So how can you use this once I show it to you? Well, one way is in your relationships. How many of you have ever gotten angry at someone you love? Ever, yelled at your kid or at your wife, or, maybe done something that, like walked away because you were angry all the time? Yeah. And when you can stop making meaning, you can be proactive in your approach rather than reactive. Yeah, always. Yeah. Stephen, that's funny. Yeah, I've got anger mastered. Yeah. And how many of you have ever felt hurt by something, felt not hurt as in physical pain, but hurt as an emotional pain? Someone said something and it hurt your feelings. Something happened and you felt upset about it. Yeah, been there? Yeah. And in terms of business, how many of you have ever set out to do a certain task and then just procrastinated? And I need to do this thing, I'm going to do this thing, but there's this show on Netflix. I'm just going to watch one, translation, 20 more episodes. Right? Anyone been there? Yeah, master procrastinator. Last night. Awesome. So this process is going to help you with that. It's going to help you get shit done, basically. And so it can help you with your relationships. It can help you with that. It can help you with your health. How many of you have ever said, I'm not going to eat or drink this thing, or I am going to eat or drink this thing, and then you avoid it, or you do it anyway, and have that 10th donut when you said you weren't going to have any donuts at all. Tour de France. Yeah. So Stephen, here's the thing. You said you're literally describing me to a T. I'm describing every human on the planet to a T right now, because this is what we do. This is what we do. And so I'm going to show you this technique. I'm going to take you through it. Then I'm going to teach it to you, because I want you to be able to take this and use it in your life on a daily basis if you want to. And this can change your life. Okay, if you use it. If you don't use it, it won't do anything. So let's do that. And what I want you to do is I want you to recall an event in your recent past, okay? Something that happened today or yesterday or maybe earlier this week that gave you an emotion you did not like. Made you angry, made you upset in some way, sad, made you feel guilty, made you feel shame, made you feel yucky in some way. So take a moment and think back to an event. Now, if you had something huge happen, and I mean if I told you on a level of 1 to 10, how strong was this emotion? If you're at a 10 or 11, grab something else to start with this experience, because we're not one-on-one, right? It's one to many right now. And so it would be harder for me to really go through and help you get that down. I want you to find something that's at anywhere between a 5 and an 8, let's say. So it affected you. It gave you some kind of negative emotion that you didn't want to feel, but it's not overwhelming where it's going to make you cry or make you turn red now in anger, right? Or in shame. So everybody take some time to think about that, and then put in the chat when you've got something. Feel free to put what it is if you want, but I just want to know that you have something. And again, we're looking for something. Okay, good. Dave's got something. We're looking for something that made you upset in some way over the last few days. Maybe it made you angry. Maybe it made you feel fear. Maybe it made you feel Maybe it made you feel guilty about something. Maybe you felt ashamed. Any of those feelings. As John says, got really upset at the way treated my son. I'm guessing it's missing wife or something like that. Treated my son. Got it. Felt like she's taking something out on him. Okay. Yeah. Right. Does anyone not have something and need more help, more prompting to come up with something? Let me know in the chat if you don't have something. Something huge there. If it's at a 9 or 10, can you try to find something else? It's okay if you use it too. I want this to work for you. And this is the first time you're going to use this technique. So discussion with my partner made me angry. She didn't understand and misinterpreted my words. Yeah. I mean, just about everyone in the world, Joe, has experienced that. And so I totally get it. That's a really good one. Okay, so let's go with what you have now. Even if it was something big and you couldn't think of something else, that's okay. We'll work through it. And okay, perfect. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I need you to, hopefully you have something to write on. If you don't, you can put it in the chat if you haven't already. But write down the actual event that happened. And now here's what how I want you to do this, okay? Because what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to distinguish between events and the feelings, right? Events and the feelings and the meaning. And I'll walk you through that in a second. But what I need to know is the actual event. So as an example, let's say that you asked a friend to get something for you and they didn't pull through, they didn't do it for you, and you felt angry. You might have, what made you angry is the meaning that you gave it, right? Remember, we're meaning-making machines. It doesn't care about me. This friend doesn't care about me, for example. Or let's say that a friend of yours walks into the room, sees you, doesn't say hello, doesn't acknowledge you at all. And you get annoyed. Why? Because you think he's angry with me. Okay? And so I want you to go ahead and do that right now for the event that you brought up. So write down what actually happened. And the way you imagine that is imagine that you were walking around with a big camcorder on your shoulder that was recording all the sounds and all the sights, just like any camcorder would do. Imagine that you're walking around with that on your shoulder and write down what it would have captured, because camcorders don't capture emotions, right? So they would capture the actual events. For example, John, with your example, you might have walked into the room and seen your wife saying something to your son or doing something to your son, and that's all you would see, right? And as an example, Joe, on a camcorder, you would have seen and heard the discussion. And you might have seen yourself getting angry, in the way that you reacted or something like that. But before you felt the anger, write down what actually happened. What were the actual events? So is everyone clear on that, or is anyone having kind of a hard time with that? Let me know in the chat. Go ahead and write down in the chat what your event is so that I can see it and help you if there are elements in there that are not actual events, that are other things added to it. While you come up with that, I'm going to tell you a little story. Okay, Dave, got it. So procrastinated instead of work, what we would see is what you were actually doing, right? So we might see you sitting down at the computer and then pulling up Facebook, right? Instead of pulling up your work, as an example. Or we might see you walking to the couch and turning on Netflix, or however you were procrastinating. Video games, perfect. I love video games. So, right? So we wouldn't see procrastinated. We would see I sat down and played video games. Okay, that's what we would see. So everyone write that down, and I'm going to tell you this story, which is a story that I bet you've heard before. It's this parable about the Chinese farmer. I bet you've heard this. This is so common, and if you haven't heard it, I'd be surprised. But there's this Chinese farmer who suddenly, comes across a horse. A horse comes to his farm, and everybody in the town says, "Wow, you're so lucky! Like, you got this horse for free. You just came here." And he goes, "Maybe I'm lucky, maybe I'm not." And then the horse runs away, and everybody says, "Oh, you're so unlucky." And he says, "Maybe, maybe not. Like, I don't know." And then the horse comes back with like 10 other horses, and everybody goes, "Wow, look at your luck. You're so lucky." And he goes, "Maybe, maybe not." Then his son gets on a horse to tame it, falls off, breaks his leg badly, and everybody says, "Oh, you're so unlucky. Your poor son." He goes, "Maybe, maybe not." Then the general comes to town to take all the able-bodied young men to war. His son can't go because his leg is broken. And everybody says, "You're so lucky." And so, what I want to get across is, which is the point of the story sort of, is, again, we're meaning-making machines. And when you break a leg, is it good or bad? What does it mean? Does it mean, yes, I don't have to go to war? Or does it mean, shit, I'm in a lot of pain? This is going to cost a lot of money at the hospital. Like, what does it mean? And the truth is, it means nothing. I mean, here's another example. While you come up and keep writing your event, please. Write down, as you write your event, I want you to add to it the emotion that you felt, whether it was anger, fear, pain, shame, guilt, anything else. Add your emotion that you felt. If there were multiple emotions, write those down. Okay, so your event and the emotion you felt. And I'm going to tell you another story, and this one is about the rain. And in this story, it's raining, and you are reading a book, and you're about to turn in for the night. You're about to go to bed. How do you feel about the rain? Probably don't feel anything. It's just raining. Who cares, right? But now imagine that it's your wedding day, and it's an outdoor wedding, and as all the guests are arriving and they're about to start playing the violins, the skies open up and rain starts to pour down on everyone. How do you feel about the rain now? Pretty bad. But now, imagine that in your culture, if it rains on your wedding day, it's good luck and it means you're going to be prosperous and have a long and happy marriage. How do you feel about the rain now? Probably very good, right? And so again, the rain can't make you feel anything. It's the meaning that you give it. Either you don't give it any meaning, hey, I'm just going to bed, who cares? Maybe it'll even help me sleep. Or my wedding is ruined and now I feel terrible. Or I'm going to have the best marriage ever. And now you're happy about the rain, right? So the event, the rain itself, can't make you feel anything. So does everyone have an event written down and the feeling they got when that event happened? Those of you on camera can wave to let me know yes. Okay, I've got a nod and a wave. Okay. Yes, I've got a yes in the chat. Thank you, Stephen. Okay. Via telephone call. Okay, got upset because my college student only complains about challenges, doesn't focus on possible solutions. Okay. And I can't help her break that cycle she goes through over and over again. Okay, and Augusta says yes. Very good. Okay. So now, what I want you to do is I want you to notice something, okay? I want you to notice this, and this is a little challenging, so I'm going to try to help you through this. And we've got one from Tara. My daughter misunderstands and is very angry with me, blew things way out of proportion, kicked me out of her and my grandchildren's lives. After losing my son 18 months ago, so felt hurt, mistreated, and abandoned. Yeah, I bet. And so what I want you to do now is you've got the event, you've got the emotion or emotions, and now, again, this is challenging, but I want you to figure out what was the meaning that you gave the event that caused you to feel that emotion. Okay, what was the meaning that you gave the event? So just like in the rain example, if it rains and you feel terrible, what did you say? My yard is going to flood, my hair is ruined, my hair is going to be frizzy. Like, what did you say that made you feel that emotion? Okay. So Dave, decrease in income. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean, Dave? If you have a decrease in income, what does that mean? Because like if you're a billionaire and you lose $10 a month, who cares, right? What does it mean if you have a decrease in income? I want you to go a little bit deeper is what I'm saying, Dave. Okay, so again, we've got the event, we've got the emotion, and what is the meaning that brought up that emotion? And Tara, for example, for you, so it looks like there's some rejection going on, right? And you feel hurt and abandoned. And so a meaning might be, and you'll put this in your own words, but there might be something about rejection, right? Like, they don't love me. for example. Okay, so Dave, you have fear. What is the meaning that you've given that decrease in income that made you feel fear? And anyone who finds this really challenging, I want you to either show your camera and wave so that I can start to help you, or write it down in the chat if you're able to. And I'm going to help you through this, okay? Because I want everybody to be able to separate those things. Again, event, emotion, and what was the meaning that created that emotion. So what is the meaning, Dave, that makes you feel fear when you have a decrease in income? In other words, what are you saying that makes you feel afraid? Is it, I'm not going to be able to pay my bills? Is it something like, I'm going to lose my home? My wife is going to leave me? Like, what is the thing that you're saying that makes you feel fear? Okay, let's look at Stephen's. They don't value me or my time. Yeah. And Stephen, your feeling, let me scroll up here, was what? What was the feeling that you got from that, Stephen? Joe felt failure, like a failure. Okay. Yeah. Stephen, what's the emotion you get for that when you say they don't value me and they don't value my time? And anyone else, again, put your stuff in the chat and show your camera and wave a lot if you need my attention for some help. Okay, so John, my event went from anger to fear that my wife is pushing my son away. Okay. And that they're going to do drugs or alcohol. So that's a lot of stuff, John. That's really good. Okay, and Steve, it made you angry. Yeah, they don't value me, made you angry. That makes total sense. Okay, good. And Tara, rejection, yes. She doesn't value me or my love or wisdom. Yes, she doesn't value me. Yes. Okay, all right, you guys, you're doing great. Everyone who's posted here is doing great. I hope the rest of you are doing this as well. Dave, I won't be able to maintain my lifestyle. Yeah. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. Right now, I want you to imagine that situation, really see that event that we're talking about here that created the emotion, okay? See that event in your mind. Hold it in front of you like an image, like it's on a video camera. And then I want you to see this meaning that you gave it, okay? So as an example, with John, you have the event and you have, my kids are going to do drugs. That's basically what's going on with that, right? She's pushing them away. They're going to do drugs. And you have anger and fear. So everybody, I want you to do that. Hold your event in your mind. See the meaning that you gave it that caused the emotion. And now, as you hold it in front of you, I want you to see if you can really notice that the two things are separate, that the actual event and the meaning that you gave it are two separate things. So again, for John, you're going to see that you've got your wife's actions and then the meaning, right? The meaning that my wife is pushing my son away and my kids are going to turn to drugs or alcohol, and notice that they're separate. Okay. Tara, same thing. Notice that the event itself, right, what your daughter and your son did, and what you are saying about it, the meaning that you're giving it, that she doesn't value me, notice that they're two separate things. Okay, so everybody do that with your event and with the meaning. Really see if you can notice that they are separate things. And let me know when you've got that. Dave says, I see. Who else? Okay, so Stephen, having trouble because she actually does waste a lot of my time. Okay, so she must not value my time. Got it. Okay. And so her actual actions are being late and lying about it, right, Stephen? Okay, yeah. So I want you to see what she does. Valerie's got it. Awesome. So Stephen, see what she does. She's late. She's lying about it. And then notice that on top of that, there's this meaning. She does not value my time. But notice that this is a meaning that you put on top of this. And what we're going to do next, for anyone who's stuck like Stephen is saying, but wait, she really doesn't value my time, or wait, this is really the case. I want you to notice something. I want you to, again, imagine that we've got this event on video camera, okay? And if you've already noticed the separation, you're good. You can just listen in because you might need this for something more challenging. But if you're still having a hard time, watch the events again on that video camera in your mind as they were recorded. Okay, so for example, for Stephen, she's late, she's lying about it. And I want you to come up with 2 alternative meanings for what might be going on. Okay, so as an example, she's late and your meaning is she doesn't value my time. Well, what's another possibility? What if she actually ran into some trouble or couldn't figure it out? What if it's about her, right? What if it's something that she's afraid of and that's why she's late and it has nothing to do with what she thinks about you, right? What are some other possible interpretations that you can give or alternative meanings to that same event? And just to give you help with that for everyone else, again, it's kind of like the broken leg, right? What is the meaning you give that broken leg? It hurts and now I'm going to have to pay medical bills? Or this is great, I've never had this experience before, this is so exciting, I'm going to, see all these like hot nurses and doctors, right? Or is it like, now I don't have to do that thing my wife wanted me to do? Like, what is the meaning that you give that broken leg? And the same thing is true for any event in your life. So look at that event and come up with 2 alternative meanings, even if they're totally silly, okay? Even if they're totally silly. Okay, so Stephen, can you unmute yourself? Are you able to talk? Okay, no worries. So we're going to try to do this via chat. So Stephen says, I can separate her actions from my thoughts and emotions, but I can't see arriving at a different conclusion. Okay, so do us a favor, Stephen, and describe exactly the last time this happened. Like describe the situation the last time this happened, and we're all going to pitch in and come up with some other possible meanings, okay? You have all these people from different cultures on this call, from different age groups and different backgrounds, and we're going to come up with that. So what's an example of, let's say, the last time that she did this, that she was late and lied about it? And give us more details about what happened, and then we can help. Okay, so can you hear me now? And I'll repeat that question. Okay, perfect. So what is an example of the last time that she did this, that she was late and lied about it? Go ahead and write down a brief detail about what actually happened in the chat. And you've got all of these people here, and we're all going to take turns and take part in coming up with some alternative meanings. What actually happened? Describe the last time it happened. Now, who else is having a hard time separating the event from the meaning that you gave it? Let me know in the chat, because I want to take you through it. And it's very helpful because if you think about it, you're here live, you're able to give feedback and to ask questions and to get the help. Someone who's in Go Mobile Prime and is watching this recording is not going to have that luxury. So I need you to let me know where you're stuck so that it helps the next person watching this. Okay, so Stephen says she showed up 2+ hours late, only offered up a got gas as the excuse. Okay, got it. And so she shows up late, and I assume you met her somewhere, or she came to your house? Okay, and she said, I left at the right time, but it doesn't take 3 hours to make the 1 hour drive coming to your house. Okay, so you're waiting for this person. She comes 2+ hours late, and she says, I got gas. That's the excuse. It doesn't take 2 hours to get gas. And so obviously something doesn't add up there. And to that, you're saying she doesn't value me, right? She doesn't value me. Nope. Where was it? Okay. Yeah, she doesn't value me. Okay, I'm going to write that down here. No, doesn't value me. Okay, so she doesn't value me. Now, everybody else in here, I want you to imagine watching that situation on video. So Steven is sitting at home waiting for his girlfriend, and she shows up more than 2 hours late, and she says, oh, I got gas. And he knows it only takes an hour to get to his place. One possible interpretation is she doesn't value him. That could be true. Also, it might not be true. So what else could be happening? Yeah, so that sounds like a big frustration. Like, you're waiting for her. So yeah, I could see why you say she doesn't value me. She doesn't value me, doesn't value my time, right? What else could it be other than she doesn't value my time? And I want all you guys on the call to put some thought into this. And I know some of you have worked with me, so you might have some ideas about, okay, maybe wanted to finish watching a movie with the kid, if there's a kid, right? What else? What else can you guys think of? Maybe she was running behind with other tasks. Yeah. Maybe, yeah. And, and we can explain that away. I love that. Maybe helping a girlfriend that was having a crisis. Yeah. And maybe she couldn't tell Steven because it was a private conversation, right? Or maybe she has some beliefs that keep her from telling the truth, right? Maybe she's got something going on that says you shouldn't tell people when you're helping other people in need because it's their private business. And so she says, oh, I got gas. That's why I'm late. And Steven says, I'm done making excuses for her. Yeah, but what I'm trying to show you here is it could be true that she doesn't value your time, but also there might be something else going on, right? And part of it is, and this is very interesting. Derek, I don't know why you made that a direct message. Derek goes, I'd also be curious on time of day, traffic, accident, blocked up traffic, etc. Yeah, it could be something like that. She might be terrible at driving directions, and this hour drive might be like she took all the wrong roads, got in all the wrong traffic, and it did take her that extra 45 minutes, right? Plus getting gas. And Steven says, I Google mapped it. It was an Uber driver, no traffic. Yeah. And so what I wonder, Steven, is the meaning something a little deeper than that? Not just she doesn't value my time, but something like, I'm not valuable, right? And let me know if that rings true, like if that feels like I'm not valuable and that's why she's doing this to me. Great question from Tina also. Is she always late for everything she does with you? And another question is she always late to everything with everybody? Because maybe she's just always late and it has nothing to do with you. And it has nothing to do with whether or not she values you. She's just always late to everything, I know people who have to do their makeup and they got to make sure they look perfect. And think about those, that drive that you get, perfection and needing to do things right and needing to not make mistakes. And what if there's something like that going on for her, and that's why she's always running late and making excuses for it, and not that she doesn't value your time? Okay. And she's never late for work-related things. That's very interesting. And that could have something to do with fear, right? Maybe she's never late to work because she's afraid to lose her job, right? But it has nothing to do, again, with you or whether or not she values your time. Yeah. So, Stephen, this looks like something a little bit deeper. And so what I want you to think about is there a deeper meaning that's going on in there? And again, it could be something like, I'm not valuable, right? Because if you feel like you're not valuable and then someone does that to you, that really feels crappy. Does that make sense? It's that stupid kid joke, kids or even like petty adults will say this, like they'll say, oh, you're so lazy, for example, and then if you get angry, they say, oh, it makes you angry because it's true. Well, no, it makes you angry because you believe it's true, but it doesn't mean it's true, right? But if you have a belief about yourself that says, I'm not valuable or I'm not worthy or people don't care about me or don't value me, then it hurts a lot. It makes you angry when someone does that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tina, and I was thinking the same thing, right? She fears losing her job if she's late there. So we can make all sorts of, excuses for why, it won't work and it won't work. And it's true that she doesn't value your time. But as you keep making these excuses, my question is, what does it help you to hang on to this meaning? In other words, what does it help you to stay angry with her? And what do you lose by letting it go? Yeah. And Stephen, this definitely feels like a 10-level thing, right? Like I was saying, for this first one, you might want to go a little bit lower, but I'm glad that you brought it up because this is something that other people are going to be working through, similar things. And I think that it's important that you brought us to this place where we can explore different things that other people can explore when they hit a roadblock like this. But here are the things that I want you to ask yourself. First of all, is it a feeling of I'm not valuable or people don't value me in general? That is bringing up the anger, okay? Because that will explain this consistent feeling about it, right? There might be a belief there, like I'm not valuable or people don't value me. In which case, I want you to, again, try that. Look at the event and say people don't value me and notice that they're two separate things, right? And the other thing that you can do is, again, ask yourself, what is it about this thing that, what will I lose if I let go of this? How does it serve me to keep feeling angry about this? And so I'm going to leave that aside for now. Stephen, thank you so much for putting yourself out there. I know it's not easy to put yourself out there, especially this is being recorded and everything. And everyone who is going to watch this recording and everyone who's here, I'm sure got a lot out of that. What I want to do is skip back to where we were at. And anyone else, at this point, what we've done is we've pulled up an event that gave you some negative emotions. So again, something like fear, anger, pain, shame, guilt. And we looked at the actual event and the meaning that caused that feeling, and we put them together and we said, you look at the event and it seems as if the meaning is part of the event, but I asked you to separate it and notice that the two are separate. If you had a hard time with that, what I asked you to do was to come up with some alternative meanings. You can come up with 2 or 3 or 4, however many you need, to see that anyone looking at a video of those events would not necessarily come up with the same meaning. Everyone would see the same event happening. Everyone would see, hey, the leg is broken. Everyone would see, hey, it's raining. But not everyone would see the same meaning. Okay? If it's raining, some would see her wedding is ruined, and some would see she's going to have the best marriage in the world. This is the best luck ever, right? A farmer would see, great, my crops aren't going to die anymore, good thing, no more drought. And the person going to sleep would say, great, I'm just going to bed. That, this rain is going to help me fall asleep, right? So no event has inherent meaning. And those of you who were able to separate the meaning from the event, what did you notice? What did you notice? Did you notice that the emotion fell away? Jay says, Liane is excellent. Was fortunate to have a private session. Got 2 screens going today. Highly recommend sticking. Thank you, Jay. Joe says it was not as bad as I felt. Yeah. Oh, and Tina says, thank you, Stephen. I got a lot out of that. Yeah. And Stephen, I just looking back, I said, I definitely want to release my anger and resentment, but the only way I can do that with her is cut her off and pick on. And that might be the thing that you need to do. And that might be the reason that you want to hang on to the resentment, because it gives you a good reason to break that off if you need to. And that's fine. That's fine. So now we're going to do something else. Tara says, I feel better. That's awesome. And John says, I actually felt the emotion leave first before he saw it, which is fantastic. And the rest of you who are being quiet, I don't know if you're driving or doing something else or what, but I really hope that you're going through this and experiencing it. At the end of the call, I'm going to go ahead and give you the technique. And actually, Derek, let me know in the chat, is Favor here? Did he get down all the attendees? Because what I want to do is send you guys the process that we just did in a nice, simple step-by-step so that you can repeat it over and over again. Awesome, Derek. Okay, so everyone who's here, you're going to get it. If for some reason you don't get an email with that information, what I want you to do is email me, Liane@GoMobileSolutions.com, or email Damien, Z@GoMobileSolutions.com. Either way, that'll end up getting to me, and I'll make sure that you get it. Okay? Thanks, Derek. And but I will get that to you. I'll make sure you get that. I'll either have Damien send it or I'll send it. So look for that tonight or by tomorrow. If you don't see it, again, feel free to email me. But what I want to do now is, what I promised you in the beginning is to show you these unlimited possibilities, right? Because we talked about drive and how drive can actually get in your way, right? Because if you've got this goal to succeed in business and you're constantly looking for perfection, or you're afraid to make mistakes, that's going to keep you from taking the actions you want to take, and it's going to keep you from seeing the possibilities that are out there. If you remember, you were born as an unlimited being, right? And then you made all these beliefs and you jumped into that. You said, this is who I am all these beliefs. Where in fact, you are the person who, or the being who created these beliefs. And so what I want to take you through now is called, Who Am I Really? And this is a process that's going to help you see unlimited possibilities. This is going to work especially well for any of you who have just gone through this process, okay, where we separated meanings and events and basically allowed emotions to dissolve. And this is the process. The first thing you do is realize that the feelings or the thoughts that you just had were caused by the meaning you gave a reality that has no inherent meaning. Okay, again, realize that the feelings and the thoughts you just had were caused by the meaning that you gave a reality that has no inherent meaning. And if you created the meaning that caused the feelings and thoughts, and now that you've eliminated the meaning, now that you've separated the meaning from the event, the thoughts and feelings have stopped, what does that make you? And Tina, I will repeat that again once we get through it, okay? So again, if you are the one who created the meaning that caused these feelings and these thoughts, and now that you separated the meaning from the event, the thoughts and feelings have stopped, what does that make you? Is it real to you that you are the consciousness that creates meanings that ultimately determines how you experience your life? Again, is it real that you are the consciousness that creates meanings that ultimately determine how you experience your life? And if you feel that, then ask yourself, in this space, as this consciousness that creates meanings, what limitations do I have? The answer should be none. What's possible? The answer should be anything. And what's missing in this moment as this consciousness that creates meaning, that create your life? And the answer should be nothing is missing. What's your guys' experience? Let me know in the chat what you experienced going through that. And I'll read through that again for you, Tina, and anyone else who missed that. The first step is to realize that the feelings or the thoughts that you just had were caused by the meaning that you gave a reality that has no inherent meaning. The second step is, if you in fact created the meaning that caused the feelings and thoughts, and now that you separated the meanings from the events, the thoughts and feelings have stopped, then what does that make you? Is it real to you that you are the consciousness that creates meanings, right? And that those meanings ultimately determine how you experience your life? And then to check that you've gotten it, that you're there, this is called the creator space, by the way, you can ask yourself, what limitations do I have? What's possible and what's missing? And the answers should be no limitations, anything is possible, and nothing is missing. Yeah, Joe, you really are in charge of how you feel. I mean, sort of, you know. Again, these things are so automatic that, but what I'm going to show you now, what I'm going to explain to you now, and I really hope all of you do this, is going to help you to do this less automatically, and when it happens, to step back and go, whoa, I just made meaning. Okay, so write down this homework, and I want you to do this. I want you to, if you really want to experience amazing things, I want you to write this down, and I'm going to send you the process, okay? But I want you to write down this assignment. Over the next week, and longer if you want, what I want you to do is, at the top of every hour, I want you to go back in your mind. You have to sit down and go, in the past hour, what meanings did I make? Okay? And the way you find meaning is through emotion. Sometimes it's going to be obvious. Sometimes you're going to have a fight with your wife and you're going to go, okay, I was angry. That was the emotion, right? Sometimes it's going to take a little thinking. Sometimes it's going to be like, oh, I was talking to my colleague and, oh, I felt shame. I felt shame about something they said. Whatever it was, at the top of the hour, write those emotions down, and then write down the event. And remember to describe it the way you would see it on that camcorder, right? On that camcorder on your shoulder. What would anyone else standing in the corner of that room see? And then separate the meaning, right? Figure out what is the meaning you gave that gave you that emotion. Why did you feel shame when talking to your colleague? Why did you feel angry when talking to your wife? What was the thing that you said that caused that emotion? And then notice that the meaning is separate from the event. If you need extra help, give alternate interpretations. Imagine 1,000 other people looking at that video and giving their thoughts. Okay, just like we did for Stephen. And see again if you can separate those two things. And if you do that over the next week, every hour, what you're going to start to notice is that as emotions pop up by the end of the week, you're going to go, oh, I made meaning. What did I just say? And maybe your wife says something and you go, oh, I just made meaning. Hold on a second. I'll be right back with you. And then you might even dissolve it right then and there, right? You might even get rid of that and stop arguments in their tracks, because arguments take two people. You got to have two people clashing to have an argument. If one person's fighting and the other person's like, oh, I just made meaning, that goes nowhere. Okay, so you're going to stop arguments with your family members and loved ones and friends and people you work with. You're going to do away with some of those, feelings like guilt and shame. And if you're not able to separate, what you might do is uncover some limiting beliefs that you can then work on. So I want to know who's planning on trying that. Steven says, I feel like we're about to find out we're in the Matrix, and everything we experience and feel is based on our own perspective and past experiences, memories, and feelings. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And if you think about it, Steven, people are like plug and play beings, right? Like I could take you and me and I could pull us up and switch our places in childhood and experiences. And we would have we would behave the same way and think the same things, right? This is like people are plug and play, and it's our circumstances and the events around us and the way that we were brought up and what our parents did and said. And if we didn't have parents, what people around us did and said, and what the media said when we were growing up. Those are the things that help determine our beliefs, and that, we create meaning and we form beliefs based on those experiences, and then we live our lives based on those experiences. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tina's doing the homework, Augusta's doing the homework, Dave is doing the homework. I hope a lot of you other ones that haven't been able to chat are going to do it, and anyone watching the recording, I hope that you're going to do it. So again, I'm going to be giving these processes to you if you were on live. If you don't get them in the next 24 hours, shoot me an email, Liane@GoMobileSolutions.com, and I will make sure that you get that. And now, I want to know what questions you have, or anything else that you want to bring up, and feel free to unmute yourself. I love that, Stephen. He says, this is a rabbit hole I've been going down the past few weeks. So the fact that this is my first time here and this is the topic is kind of blowing my mind and confirming that we're all connected in an amazing and wonderful way. Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm glad you're here, Stephen. Sheila, I see you on. How are you? Good. Tara's going to do it. It's been great and very much needed. That's awesome, Tara. I'm so glad that you were here for this. Dave says, what is the possibility that the feeling you get is correct? Ooh, Dave, I want to know more. If you're able to unmute yourself, can you give me a little more on that and explain what you mean with that? Are you able to unmute? Hey Dave, can you talk? Okay, awesome. So tell me more about that question. You said, what's the possibility that the feeling you get is correct? What do you mean?
I thought that Stephen was correct in his assumption.
Okay, that his girlfriend doesn't value his time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's possible. It's also possible that it's not true.
Right, and that's why I was asking, what's the percentage? What do you? I know it depends on the specific situation, but I don't know.
Yeah, my guess is, and I didn't get to work with Stephen like one-on-one, right? But my guess is that he probably has another belief behind that that's causing all the anger, right, and the frustration. Something along the lines of people don't value my time, or I'm not valuable, right? Something along those lines. And that would explain the level of anger. Because, for me, for example, just to give you an example, if someone shows up really late, it wouldn't make me angry, even if they lied about it. Like, I wouldn't care. I would just go, okay, they're late, what can I do, right? And so just the fact that someone like me or anyone else might not get angry. Someone might get so angry that they pull out a gun and shoot her, right? Like, there's different levels, but that just shows you that people make different meanings. Oh, absolutely, John. Thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I was just thinking, my daughter has a similar situation with her ex, where they have to swap the son, and they live 1,000 miles away from each other. So each one drives 500 miles in the direction. The guy is always late. And so she just automatically assumes that he does not value her. I mean, one excuse was, I forgot you were in a different time zone. That kind of
so yeah, the whole excuses thing, and and I bet that's a huge frustration, and I bet a lot of people have experienced that. But there's so many different explanations when you look at it. And in reality, when you look at something like that, yes, it can be a frustration, but also the feeling that, hey, this person doesn't value my time might not be 100% right. It could be true, but it also might not be. It could be that...
That's the point I'm making. It could be true. I was just wondering if there was, and I guess not. Like what are the odds that when you assume something like that? I mean, with her situation, maybe with Stephen's situation, it's probably a high percentage that they're right.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I would take, and it's so funny, Stephen says, "Thanks for having my back, Dave."
Yeah, buddy.
Feel this way. Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's what I want to say. Let's say that that's true, because it's possible. Let's say she doesn't value his time. But then I want to say, so what? So what if she doesn't value his time? What does that mean? And that might lead us to the real reason why he's so frustrated. And Stephen, you're still on, so we can ask you, what does it mean? That imagine, let's say that's what it is. She does not value your time. And let's say that's a fact, right? So what? What does that mean? And let's see what comes out of that. Dave, thank you so much for asking that question. I think that's really important, and it does take us to another level of this. And that's something that everyone can do when you get to a situation like that, where you're like, but wait, it's true. So what? What does that mean? And that's going to take you to that deeper level. Hey, Joe, what's up?
Yeah, when I graduated from college, and both my wife, we got married after college, and we only had one vehicle. I would drop her off at work, go to my job, and then pick her up after I get out of work. So she was always waiting for me. Right now, I started working in retail, so I was in a training program. So we both got out at 6 o'clock. It was a 1 hour drive, but as a new manager trainee and in the retail management, things were always coming up. And so then you add the traffic. And so by the time I would get there, sometimes it would be beyond 1 hour. And so the first couple of weeks and so forth, it's okay. It was accepted I was late, but after that, it became even more. And so she associated, I'm a woman by myself. I'm the last in the building. And as much as, I kept that in mind, at my work, I was always running. I couldn't leave on time. I could leave on time, but things were coming up that I needed to take care of. And so even though I had a legitimate answer, she had a legitimate answer, but it would still lead to frustration and, let's say, and anger on both ends. And so now it's easier for me not to let go of that. But for her, it's still the same way, because now it's not the safety, it could be something else. And then I realized that because she was brought up that way by her father, and from my parents, like, okay, things can happen, let it go. And two different, trains of thought.
Yes.
Different ways of reacting to that.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's a great point. Again, it's this whole like where you're coming from and what you see. And the thing I want to say, Stephen, and actually, this is like psychologist advice, right? I'm not a psychologist, but I've seen psychologists and therapists and things. And probably the best advice that I would give you, if you haven't done this already, is to tell her, look, when you show up late and then you lie about it, it makes me feel like you don't value my time. It makes me feel like I shouldn't be with you, and because you don't value my time, it makes me angry. And see what she says. And you might find out that it's true, that she doesn't value your time, but you'll more likely find out that she has another reason. And if you approach it that way, she might even tell you what that is. And then you'll be able to separate that. You'll be able to see that the meaning you gave is not necessarily the truth. Does that make sense? What's up, Dano? Or Dano? How do you say your name?
Yeah, hi, Dano. Yes, I have a question for you. I mean, I really like this concept, and I'm a big fan of this structure of that what we feel actually is a interpretation of events, and really appreciate your session here. One question, what if the event makes something happen that I don't like? How can I kind of change interpretation? Let's say this whole late thingy, it bothers me a lot. And when I make the effort to go somewhere, show up on time, and sit there and wait for someone for half an hour and this person doesn't show up, I get really pissed off. And the meaning of why he didn't show up, I really don't care. What I care about is that my time is being wasted and I'm sitting here and I did my part and the other guy didn't. So for me, it's more like about the consequence of this action of not showing up. So how does the reinterpretation of this apply here?
My time is being wasted. That's the thing that you want to separate. So the event is you're sitting there by yourself, waiting, this other guy's not showing up, and you're saying, my time's being wasted, and that's pissing you off, right? That's making you frustrated. And so notice that the event and this thought, my time is being wasted, are two separate things.
Okay, but
it could be another
it's
thing.
A consequence of somebody not showing up, right? I mean,
well, maybe,
it's
maybe
a fact that I'm sitting there.
It's a fact that you're sitting there. It's a fact that they haven't shown up. But is it a fact that your time is being wasted? Because as an example, if we had to give that different meanings, you might say, this is a great chance to meditate. I have 30 minutes to myself. No one's going to bug me. I've got coffee here at the cafe, or I've got whatever. I can sit down and just think for once. Like, no one's in my head. Like, how wonderful is that, right? Like, you could say that. You could say probably 5 other things or 100 other things, right? Notice that my time is being wasted is just one option.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And if you really take the time, so like the way this works, just understanding is like, yeah, okay, that's true, I'm still pissed off. But really take the time to see the events, and if you had anyone else looking at this video of the events of you're sitting there and someone else has not shown up, maybe you see them in traffic or leaving their house late or whatever, right? If you're omniscient, but you see yourself sitting there, would anyone looking at that video without knowing what's going on say, this guy's time is being wasted? Or might they say other things? Might they say, hey, he's having a good time alone, or hey, he's just thinking, or he's meditating, or I don't know what, he's having coffee alone, or he's waiting for a date, or he showed up early, or they could say all of these different things, right? And if anyone looking at those events could say so many different things, then is there a meaning that's inherent in that event? Would 1,000 different people looking at that event give it the exact same meaning?
Yeah, true. There are different perspectives, yeah.
Yeah, and if there are different perspectives, then does that event have any inherent meaning?
No, I just don't like it. That's the thing. I just hate it.
That you don't like it. Yeah. That you don't like it is a fact. That's reality. Our likes and dislikes are facts, right? If I don't like something, that's true. But your time being wasted is not a truth. It's a possibility. It's possible that your time is being wasted. It's also possible that, you could use that time differently. It's also possible that your brain is getting an awesome break from everything because you're always on the go. And now you've got this break and it's precious. And if all of these things could be true, then can you see that my time being wasted is just one interpretation, one possibility, and not the truth about those events?
Right.
Yeah. Do you see that?
Okay, cool. Let's try that.
Yeah. Give that a shot now. Yeah. I think there's some questions in the chat here. Okay, Stephen, yeah. Yeah, and Stephen, when you've got something like this that you say is like a broken record where you've had this conversation, and a lot of times there might be other things that are keeping you there, right? Like if you know that, hey, this relationship is not for me for any variety of reasons, like she doesn't respect my time, then there might be other things that are holding you back from making that decision. And those are things to also look at. Like if you think about leaving or, breaking up, what emotions come up there? And then see what meaning you're giving it. Just as an example, like my parents divorced after 33 years of marriage. And my mom and my dad separately once told me that the reason that they got married is they thought that no one else would ever love them. And so, we make these crazy meanings in our heads, right? Why would they think that? Well, probably they had a belief like, I'm not lovable, right? And so someone loved them and they go, okay, the way to be lovable is to be married and have someone love me. And even though they didn't really love each other very much, they still got together, right? And so we do all of these things in the course of our lives. And as you go through, if you really go through and do this homework, even on the little things, something gets you a little annoyed, do the homework, separate the events, start to notice, you'll start to have an easier and easier time separating even the big things like Donna was talking about and like Stephen is talking about and like Tara was talking about, and it'll start to become easier to handle the really big things. So let me see if there's any other comments or questions in the chat. Jay says, it's also possible that you can meet that person at your home or someplace else. You'll be already, no need to go anywhere. That way your time will be whatever you want it to be, as you can just do what you want with that time. Yeah, definitely, Jay. And so this is an example of possibilities, right? So once you get rid of these emotions, new possibilities open up. But of course, Jay is not the one experiencing Dano or Stephen's emotions. So you see that possibility. And when you do this work, possibilities open up to you. You start to see other solutions that instead of fighting with your wife, for example, you go, she's really angry about this. Maybe I should let her know that that's not my intention, right? Like Joe was telling about his wife. It's like, hey, it's not my intention to leave you alone when, maybe you feel like you're not supposed to be alone or, by yourself as a woman, right? So a lot of different things at play there. Stephen says, definitely looking forward to going through these steps on some smaller issues. Awesome, Stephen. And hey, guys, email me. Email me what you're going through. Email me if you have any challenges, and I will do my best to help you work through the process. This is absolutely life-changing, and I want you to be able to do this. I want you to do this with your business too. And let me finish off with this. And Augusta, thank you so much. Augusta says, I needed this happy hour today. Thank you for sharing with us today. Absolutely. Let me close off with this. As you're going day to day with your business, and you need to prospect, and you need to market, and you need to call clients, and you need to do things. When you find yourself procrastinating, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about this next step that you need to take for your business. Okay, so think about the step. Imagine yourself doing it. Realize what feelings and emotions are popping up in your mind, and ask yourself, what meaning am I giving this action, this next step that I need to take that is causing this emotion, whether it's anxiety or fear or pain or anger or anything else, or shame or guilt, right, or pain. What is the meaning that I'm giving this that's keeping me from doing it, that's causing me to procrastinate? Separate those events, the event from the meaning that you've given it, and see if you can move forward. See if you can get your to-do list done. See if you can get that next step in your business. Tina says, another alternative to the late arrival subject is letting the person you're waiting for know after 10 to 20 minutes you're leaving. Gotta go. Just a thought. Yeah, another great solution, Tina. Absolutely. Yeah. And so guys, thank you so much. Really, I love that you all showed up here. I can't wait to see how you use this in your life. I hope that you use it to take that next step of what you need to do and to make things just that much better for yourself. Any other comments before we hop off here?
This is Tara. I have enjoyed this so much. I'm in my car now so I can talk. Can I hire you?
So shoot me an email and yes, shoot me an email.
Because what I was talking about today, it goes a lot deeper than this. Like, it's kind of a recurring pattern in my life. Realizing that I need to, get to the bottom of this somehow. Anyway, it's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments you guys want to say out loud or type in?
Yes. Yes, do hire her. She's great. I mean, it'll change your life. Go for it.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. Stephen, you're funny. What if I did charge her per minute of her lateness? Because Jay said preschools charge $2 per minute late. That that the parents are late. I don't know where you live, Jay, but here in California, it's like $15 or something. It's not. I wish it was $2. Okay, Tina's typing a question. No problem. We can wait on that.
Yeah, and I just want to add that this is going to be one more tool that I'm going to add. We had another speaker in the past. I don't remember his name, but he talked about that as we're going through an emotion, out of anger and so forth, that know that the anger is only going to stay with us, for about a minute and a half. And then thereafter, when you get angry again, it's because you remember that moment over and over again, kind of like, the Groundhog Day. Just keep on going to that same repetitive cycle. So when I starting to feel that anger initially, I'm like, okay, wait for it's going to pass by. And I kind of put a break on what I'm doing and let it go. And then, okay, go back. And that has been helpful. This goes in a little bit deeper because now you're asking to separate, the event from what that feeling is. And then you're able to say, well, it could be different situations that at the end of the day, you want to be more relaxed. So that's my end goal, to stay relaxed, to be able to move forward. So thank you for sharing another tool that I can use to, to get things done.
You're welcome, and it's absolutely my pleasure, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, so let's see just a few more comments in the chat. Patty says, holy smokes, Liane, this is great. Thanks for all you shared. You're so welcome, Patty. I so love that you're here. Tina says, how would you approach a group of folks inside of a bigger group you hang out with once a month who make fun of certain things about you? Interesting. Tina, my first reaction is to say they sound like assholes. But how would I approach it in terms of how to handle your feelings about it? Realize that most things that people do are not anything about you, they're about them. And how I would approach it, like if you were working with me, is we would go back and I would say, well, we would go back to what belief it's pulling up, right? What thoughts and feelings are coming up and what belief might be going on that's causing you either pain or shame or guilt or anger or anything else that you feel when they do that. And then we would work on where that comes from. What is the source of that in your childhood? What circumstances led you to believe it? We would clear that out. And what would happen is in future situations, when those people did that, you would probably just feel bad for them versus feeling bad about yourself? That's a really good question. Stephen says, this has been a great use of my time. I'm happy to have met you all on this Zoom call. That's awesome. Liane, really appreciate this framework to better understand and ultimately release things that don't serve me well. I'm so glad, Stephen. I loved having you here. Jay says that's unenlightened behavior. I would just pray for them that they get to a place of greater peace so they don't need to behave that way to others. Yeah, and Jay, the thing is, that can be really tough to do when your emotions get triggered, right? And so that's the reason that going back and going, what meaning am I giving this, that they're saying this? You know, if someone makes fun of you, what meaning am I giving what they're saying? And that can help you separate it as well in the moment with the tool that I gave you today. So, awesome. Guys, it's been an hour and a half and an extra minute. Thank you so much. Anything else, any other questions, any other comments? Please feel free and reach out to me, Liane at GoMobileSolutions.com. You can also reach out to Damien Z at GoMobileSolutions.com with any comments, and I will make sure that you guys get the process in writing so that you can follow it. So thank you so much, and thank you. Gregory says great session. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys on the next happy hour. Bye, everyone.